Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection is one of the most well-supported scientific theories in history. It explains how species adapt and change over time in response to environmental pressures. However, some atheists have interpreted this theory as evidence that God does not exist, arguing that life's ability to evolve negates the need for a divine creator. While evolution is an undeniable scientific fact, using it as an argument against the existence of God is a flawed interpretation that deserves critical examination. The paradox of aging and death. One of the core tenets of evolution is that life adapts to overcome environmental challenges and increase its chances of survival. If this is true, then why has life not conquered the most ancient problem of all, aging and death? If natural selection favors traits that enhance survival and reproduction, why do organisms inevitably deteriorate and die instead of evolving indefinite longevity? The existence of programmed aging suggests that life is not simply about overcoming obstacles, but follows a deeper, more complex genetic directive. The idea that evolution alone drives biological processes struggles to explain why nature has not eliminated the aging process, given its apparent disadvantage to individual survival. Genetic programming and scientific efforts to overcome aging. Scientific research has shown that aging is not merely the result of environmental wear and tear, but is genetically programmed into the biological makeup of organisms. Certain genes, such as those responsible for telomere shortening and cellular senescence, contribute to the inevitable decline of biological function. This programmed deterioration ensures that organisms have a limited lifespan, making way for new generations. Scientists are actively attempting to alter this genetic programming in laboratory settings. Research in regenerative medicine and genetic engineering seeks to extend life or even create cells that do not age. Experiments on organisms like worms and mice have demonstrated that by manipulating specific genes, the aging process can be slowed or even reversed to some extent. If life were purely an outcome of evolution, with the sole aim of survival, such mechanisms of programmed aging would seem counterintuitive. The fact that life is inherently programmed to end suggests a purpose beyond mere survival and adaptation. The naivety of assuming aging and death are purely evolutionary outcomes. Some proponents of atheism argue that the process of aging and death is simply a natural consequence of evolution. However, this perspective is overly simplistic. Evolutionary theory explains how traits beneficial for survival are passed down, but it does not necessarily explain why organisms are universally programmed to deteriorate and die. If life were merely the product of random mutations and selection, one would expect to find examples of species that have evolved indefinite lifespans. While some species, such as certain jellyfish, show potential biological immortality, they are rare exceptions rather than the rule. This uniformity of programmed mortality across life forms suggests that aging is not merely an evolutionary byproduct but a deliberate aspect of life's genetic structure. It is reasonable to consider the possibility that this feature was intentionally embedded into life's design, rather than being a purely accidental occurrence. Conclusion. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution has been scientifically validated through comparative anatomy, genetics, and fossil evidence. It is undeniable that life adapts to environmental circumstances. However, the personal interpretations of evolution by some groups, particularly those who attempt to use it as proof that God does not exist, are misguided. Science and faith address different aspects of existence, and bending scientific theories to fit ideological narratives, whether religious or atheistic, is a disservice to rational inquiry. Evolution explains how life changes over time, but it does not inherently disprove the possibility of a purposeful design behind life itself.